Hey everyone, Yuri Elkaim back with you for another episode of Ask Yuri. This week we're talking about success, we're talking about motivation, we're talking about achieving your goals. And we talked about goal setting your reasons why, tips for motivating you a little bit more effectively. And today I'm going to teach you one of the things that I've learned in my journey so far in my 30 years of life. And I want to talk to you about what separates the creme de la creme from everyone else. Now, I don't want to sound condescending by any means, because I think we're all incredible human beings, but I think that, really a very few number of us are really living to our full potential, including myself. Including you most likely. We still have so much more potential that we can tap into and achieve, and I think, I just want to do my part in helping you do so. So I want to talk a little bit about, again, we talk about bridging this gap, right? And we talk about having the tools, the know what to do, the workouts, the diet, and then actually achieving the results. And if you're kind of following along with some of the stuff I'm talking about this week, a lot of it comes from here, right? And actually, in fact, the vast majority of your success is going to come from up here. What you have between your ears is probably more important than what you do in the gym and what you eat. Now, the reason I say that is because the decisions that you make about how you work out and how you eat is going to come from the thoughts that you're thinking and how you're feeling on a day-to-day basis. So we need to look at what is going on in our mind. What are the thoughts? What are the beliefs? Right? And that is going to lead to the actions we are going to take ultimately. So if you want different results, right? If you want different results than what you have right now, then you need to work backwards and say, okay, what are the actions that I'm taking? Obviously, they're not working. I have to change them. But what is leading to those actions? Well, it's the feelings that I'm feeling. I'm feeling a certain way, so I'm taking actions based on that. And those feelings are based on thoughts that are occurring in your mind. So we're really dealing with the fundamental, the root cause of success and achievement this week. And that's really about the mind. Mindset, the inner game, psychology, whatever you want to call it. And I want to give you a little analogy from my own life, and one of the things that I've noticed playing soccer, right? I think I like to use soccer as a really cool comparison to real life, because having played professional in really if you've played a professional sport at any level, there's a certain, there's something that separates you from everyone else. Now, as a Canadian, right, recently Canada got dropped to about FIFA rankings of about 100, which is terrible. It's not good at all. But we have a lot of great talent in Canada. And when I was in France, growing up, I had heard of, this player had gone overseas, this player had gone overseas, this player had gone overseas. You always hear in down the grapevine that certain players had gone overseas, a very few number of them actually made it and actually stayed there and progressed to playing, and actually to this day still do. While a lot of other players, these Canadian guys, were coming back. And when I was over there, I realized what was happening to a lot of these Canadian players. And in fact, when I was in France, there were, in just one season, I was with our club team, we had 6 other Canadians who had come over, either with the farm team or with Lille, where I was at. And what I noticed was that within a very short period of time, a lot of those guys, actually 5 out of the 6 guys, were sent home before Christmas. So before, if they were there for 4 or 5 months, they were sent home without even having, been able to play that much or even, stay the whole season. So what was it? What was it that separated these players from, for instance, myself or other players before me, who had basically been able to sustain that professional lifestyle, that professional soccer lifestyle? Well, here are a couple things. A lot of guys were coming over in their late teens, early 20s at most, and in Europe that's considered old pretty much for soccer. One of the things I realized is that a lot of these guys were homesick, okay? So they weren't used to being away from their family, and as a result, they weren't able to cope with the demands of that environment. The second thing is that they didn't have this inherent professionalism about them. They didn't know what it took in terms of daily living to be a professional. These are kids that are used to going out and partying with their friends, drinking, doing whatever they want, and going into a professional atmosphere afterwards was a big shock for them. The third thing was obviously the language barrier. For a lot of them didn't speak French. French obviously is the main language in France, and as a result, they had a tough time communicating and obviously excelling. So what this kind of, these are very specific examples, but I want to kind of bring them back to some fundamental concepts. First thing is preparation. Okay, you have to be prepared into whatever you're going to get into, right? If you want to achieve whatever result it is, if you want to put on 20 pounds of muscle mass or lose 20 pounds of fat, train for a sport, get into professional sports, whatever it is, you need to be prepared, and you have to know what it takes to get to that level. So in this case, preparation would have meant, maybe taking some French classes, brushing up on your French if you'd taken in the past, whatever it is to best, get those tools ready so that you can at least communicate on the field with your teammates at the very minimum. The second thing is understanding that, again, from the soccer perspective, partying, drinking, doing whatever you want, there's only there's really a handful of top professional players that can get away with that. And even at that point, it's something that's really frowned upon. Because a lot of professionals, a lot of guys it takes a lot of discipline, hard work, and commitment to a certain lifestyle to play and stay at that level, right? So if you're training twice a day, 5 days a week, you have 2 games, whatever it might be, you can't be going out partying, you can't be drinking all the time, right? So you need to get things in check. And again, if you're looking to put on muscle mass, if you want to burn fat, whatever your goal is, you need to be realistic. I just recently had a question from somebody saying, hey, I want to lose belly fat. I drink alcohol every single day. I have about a few beers and whatnot. Is this hurting? Is this affecting me? Of course it is, right? You need to know what it takes to get to your goal. And if you're doing things that are not congruent with that, you're not going to achieve your goal. So it's very simple. So the first step is preparation. And that's why a lot of these videos a lot of these questions are great, because I'm preparing you with the know-how, what it takes to get to that level. And the second thing is implementation, or taking action. Right? If you're drinking beer every single day, there's no way, I can guarantee, that you're going to lose your belly, that belly fat. They call it a beer gut for a certain reason. And one of the reasons that a lot of these carbohydrates, one beer or a can of beer is about 350 calories, that's all going to your gut. Right? I don't care how much activity you're doing, if you're constantly putting that stuff in your body, you're really, you're working an uphill battle, fighting an uphill battle. So preparation is key. Knowing what to expect, knowing what you need to do to get to your goal. And second most important thing is implementation. You need to know, okay, based on this stuff, here's what I got to do. Here's what I have to do. If I want to put on some muscle mass, this is how I have to train. This is how I have to eat. If I want to burn fat, this is what I need to do. This is what I need to eat. This is how to do it. But remember, guys, it starts up here, right? There are things that people in this world that are the most successful, the top pros, the top business people, the top entrepreneurs, athletes, whatever, they're doing things differently than 98, 99, 97% of the population, okay? And it's important that you start to learn what it is that these people are doing so that you can emulate them. And remember, they're just like you and me, right? They're like everyday people, they're human beings, they have their flaws, they have their bad habits, they have, all their stuff. But they've come from from wherever they were to an incredible level of success. And when I'm talking about success, I'm not talking about just about money. I'm talking about achieving a certain physique, if that's the case, living really with great health, whatever it might be. But time and time again, all the technical stuff is great, right? And that's really, in sports we say 80% is mental, 20% is execution. The tactical, the technical, the physical stuff. The same goes in life. These people, these pros are doing something different. They're thinking differently. They have different belief systems than the majority of the population. And over the next couple of videos, I'm going to start to share what it is that separates them from the rest of the people, right? So today we talked about preparation, implementation, some of the things that separate the top from the people underneath them. Again, I'm not trying to be condescending, but I want you to realize that, as you know, there are very successful people in this world, and then there's pretty much everyone else. And I want to help you get to that level of success, and whatever that success means for you is relative, okay? So stay tuned for tomorrow's video where we're going to kind of dive into this topic a little bit more. And remember, July 27th is a very important date. I want you to mark it down if you haven't already. about something very, very exciting that I'm going to be sharing with you. And it's going to kind of, really help you with some of the stuff that we're talking about here. So until then, I'll see you in tomorrow's video, and once again, thanks for watching.